What if the higher version of yourself was never outside of you, but has always been buried inside of you? People mistakenly think that this new version of themselves, this higher version that they are so drawn to, that they think about, that they think is so out of reach, they think that that person, that version of themselves, it's outside of them, that they need to get more things and learn more things in order to be that person, things that they don't already have or don't already know. But that is the same mindset that keeps people stuck where they are at, because it's simply not true. That version is deep inside of you. It just takes peeling back the layers. Now, I understand how that sounds kind of vague, kind of spiritual, kind of, okay, but like, what do I do now? But you need to grasp that concept because it's already in you. And I'm going to teach you in this video how to uncover that version of you so you can live your most aligned, most fulfilling life. Welcome back to the Creation of Her, the side of the internet where I help you close the gap between who you are now and remembering the woman that you always have been. We talk about all areas of life that help you achieve that: finances, glow ups, feminine energy, work, productivity, consistency, etc. So if that sounds like your vibe and you love the self-improvement space, then definitely stick around. Subscribe, follow to hear more from me. I come out with new episodes every single week, and I'm super active on my other socials on Instagram and TikTok, which are at the Mia Gabriela. Let's get into this week's episode. If you clicked on today's video or today's episode, you already have everything you need in order to change, and you already have been given the permission slip to change and become that higher version of yourself, simply because one, you notice that something is currently not aligned, and two, you have the desire and the will to understand how you can change. And that's quite frankly all you need for now. I think another important piece is that a lot of people underestimate how important their existence is. The probability of you yourself, you watching this, the probability of you being alive right now is 1 in 400 trillion. That simply means you are meant to be here. You are the chosen one. You have a bigger purpose in this life, even if it may not sound big on paper, like if it's like just being a mom, or whether it's being this big public speaker or a doctor or whatever the case. You have a purpose here. You're so important and you're so rare, and therefore it is your sole right to change and to be the best version of yourself and to make the absolute most of your time here. So let's get into peeling back the layers, owning your truth, and stepping into your highest self. Now, when it comes to creating a new version of yourself, like I said, it's about peeling back the layers. So since you're not becoming someone new, you're actually remembering the real you underneath all the fear, all the doubt, all the imposter syndrome, all the beliefs that you've gained along the way that are not even yours. That means it takes peeling back those negative layers. You have to go within and ask yourself, what has led me to covering myself, to not letting myself be seen, to not live my life fully in a way that's aligned with me? It could be beliefs that you've learned from your family that don't align, beliefs you've learned from your parents, from school, people who have shut you down, people who have made fun of you, and you have soaked those things, those beliefs, those comments, those insults in along the way. Whose dreams are you still after that are not yours? Whose expectations are you still trying to live up to that are not yours? Why are you still punishing yourself for all the wrongs that you do? Who is really punishing you? Is it the voice of your parents that's still playing in the background, or is it really you that's mocking you, that's telling you you're not good enough? What are those layers covering you up that are ultimately holding you back? You can't heal while you're still punishing yourself. A lot of times to go forward in life, you have to look back. Like I said, that looks like unlearning things and really pinpointing your traumas and where they came from so that you can realize that those traumas and those beliefs are not really you, and that you have the permission to not carry them and to not move through life with fear or doubt guiding your actions. What are these pieces of baggage that you've picked up along the way through life that you need to let go of? I feel like a large majority of people that are called to watch this, they have probably been through some kind of life transformation or some kind of situation where they feel like they've fallen and they have this urge to build themselves back up, to create this new version of them, because they're outgrowing a version of them that is stuck and that feels small. And some of you might feel like you're at rock bottom, but I invite you to look at it in a whole new way. When I think of myself jumping off a cliff and literally reaching rock bottom, instead of thinking, oh my gosh, okay, now I have to be strategic and climb my way back up this cliff in order to get to the top, I don't think of it like that anymore. Let you hitting the floor be your literal golden vault. So when you jump from the cliff and you fall and you let things go and things seem like they're crumbling, instead of looking back at the cliff and wondering how you're going to get back up there, look at the floor next to you and imagine that on this floor there's a button somewhere, right next to you, just within arm's reach, there's a button, and you press that button and out opens up this literal golden vault, this gold mine full of riches, full of you in your power and your highest self. So sometimes you think you're falling, you think your whole world is done, but you really just landed beside a golden vault, and you need to give yourself permission to press that button and open it up. So like I said, I think that for a lot of people, it's really important to go back in order to go forward, whether that is going through a really tough situation or just looking back at your life and looking at the traumas and things that you've picked up along the way that you're ready to let go of. And that can look like finding the root cause, working through it, and letting go so you can really grow and flourish. That's why I'm so happy to introduce today's sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is online therapy that matches you with a licensed professional who can help you with a whole host of things, help you explore your truth, break old patterns, and move forward powerfully. I actually love BetterHelp, and the time they helped them the most was when I was transitioning from high school to university. I signed up with BetterHelp. That was my very first time signing up with them. And what I love the most is that I don't always click with all kinds of coaches or all kinds of therapists, etc. But if you don't click with someone, you can just switch until you find the person that you match with. And there's no awkwardness, there's no guilt. You don't have to have the awkward conversation with the therapist. You can just switch it on the app and try someone new. That's arguably my favorite part. But BetterHelp has a ton of amazing qualified therapists that can help you in your journey. So if you visit betterhelp.com/Mia Gabriela, you can get started today, and that link will also be in the description. That can be an amazing, amazing tool for you if you just want talk therapy, if you just want someone to help you, if you're going through something deeper, more serious, more specific, even just vague situations. You can use that as an amazing tool to help you in this journey of becoming or peeling back the layers of your highest self so that you can live in true alignment in your life. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. The next thing when it comes to creating that higher version of yourself and this new you is understanding two things. One, no one is coming to save you. Literally, nobody is coming to save you. And once you understand that and you really grasp it and really absorb it, the world is yours. And you can think, well, but what about the women who get lucky, who accidentally get famous, or who marry rich and then they live this luxurious life without having to do anything, blah, 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 blah. Even those women who on the outside or on social media might seem like they got saved by this external person or external thing, nobody saved them. Their internal world, they chose that life, whether it's because they intentionally or non-intentionally change their internal world. The second thing is learning and understanding the power to choose. Now knowing that no one comes to save anyone, it's all about the work that you put in with the internal shifts that you make with your power to choose your life. I fully believe everything in my life is a choice. Yes, there are some things you can't control, like the economy or somebody's death, but you can always choose to control what is in your hands. And that is your internal world. That is your thoughts. That is the habits you choose to break, to build. I'm not saying any of it is easy, because most of the time it's not. But it's the choice to keep getting up. It's the choice to keep choosing to live in alignment with your higher self. It's the simple decision for every day to ask yourself, how can I live in the light? How can I be like my higher self today? What would she do? It's in the little situations. Oh, I don't feel like going to the gym. Well, what would my higher self do? Okay, I'm getting hungry. I'm going to cook lunch. Well, what would my higher self eat? Okay, this situation happened. I'm having an argument with my friend, with my boyfriend. Okay, how would my higher self react? What would she say? Asking yourself those questions and living in alignment with that is your choice. The power to create your dream life, the power to come home to you, the power to live in alignment with your higher self is completely and 100% in your hands and in your hands only. Okay, enough of the mindset shifts. How are we going to meet our higher self? What does that look like? How do I know who my higher self even is? This is the most fun part. To meet your higher self, you have to 1, design her, and 2, step into her. Something that some of my friends like to do is they like to give like their higher self an alter ego. Me and my friends, we all did this one day. Like, we think of our higher selves and we just give her another name. Think of like a name that you find really hot, or a name that you always wanted it to be your name, or a name that just feels like your higher self. That works for a lot of people. They can also call it like their alter ego name or whatever. Personally, I do have a name, but I like to just think of like, I just say my higher self. That just aligns more with me. But if the name thing works for you, then do that, because it could probably help you categorize it more. Like, let's say your name is Victoria, but your alter ego higher self's name is Veronica. You can ask yourself, okay, what would Veronica do in this moment? Now, you can do this now or after the video, but here is your action step, is to write down, type it out, whatever you want, your higher self, and go category by category to really help you visualize her and help you get real detailed on what it means to be your higher self and to step into this new version of you. So for example, we'll go through some categories that you can go like category by category and write down what this new version of yourself, what is she like in all of these different categories, so that we know what we're actually working towards. Number 1 is career and purpose. purpose? What kind of work lights her up? How does she lead, create, serve? How does she innovate? What does abundance look like in her business, in her job, in her career, in her purpose-driven life? What impact does she make on others? What impact does she make on her personal life? How much is she making? What time of the day does she work at? When is she most productive? Does she like to work by the pool, or does she work in an office? Does she work in a certain company? Does she post X amount of content per day? What tasks does she prioritize the most? Like, these are all things to help you think of how that new version of yourself is living in this area of her life. Next is relationship and connection. How does she show up in love? How does she resolve arguments? How does she communicate? How close is she with her family and friends? How often does she see them? What kind of activities does she do with them? What kind of love does she give, and what kind of love does she receive? Next is wellness and energy. What does she do to nourish her body, her mind, her nervous system? How does she work out? How does she eat? How does she feel in her body? What time does she wake up at? What time does she go to sleep at? Does she have a long, short, efficient, or dragging kind of morning routine? What is her rest like? What is her movement like? Does she meal plan? Is she super intuitive? Next is wealth and money. How does she feel about money? What is her relationship with money like? How often does she check her bank account? What does she spend on? Does she save? Does she have X amount of investments? Is she into real estate? Does she track her finances with an app? Does she write them down? Does she have an accountant? What about spirituality and self-trust? Is she a woman of God? Is she super religious? Is she more spiritual? Does she like crystals? Does she meditate every day? Does she burn incense? Lifestyle and environment. What city is she living in? What does her home look like? What does her house look like? What does her space look like? Who does she surround herself with? Is it more cozy and boho, or is it more luxury and minimalist? What are her daily habits, her rhythms, her rituals, her routines? And then one of my favorites is personal expression and identity. So that's like, how does she dress? How does she speak? How does she carry herself? What's her aesthetic? What colors does she wear a lot? How does confidence look like on her? The reason I love that one is because that is one that you can start today, at least as best as you can. I personally, if I were you, I would type that out. I would type who she is out, just completely brain dump. I know some of my viewers are a bit against AI, ChatGPT, etc. But for those of you who are not and use it as a tool, you can put all of that brain dump into AI, into ChatGPT, and ask it, what would the highest version of me do today? Another thing that I love, oh my gosh, you guys, I have so many like ChatGPT AI things and tools and prompts to help you with becoming your higher self, which I have a large majority of them on my Notion template, which you can find in the description, but also it's in the link in my bio in my socials. I think it's like $12.99, but it is literally every single thing you need to become the highest version of you within 90 days. I'm going to put some of what it looks like on the screen, but it is such a useful and helpful tool, and you can plan your entire life on there. Like, it has every single thing you need for your glow up and for your daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly life. It is just the 101, every single thing you need. But for example, you can put all of your higher self, new version of me brain dump into ChatGPT or whatever AI. You can ask it things like, what would the highest version of me do today? My personal favorite thing to ask, and I've done it so many times and it always is so helpful, is I will be like, here is the new version of myself, the woman that I want to be. And I will say, write me a 5-minute script of a day in her life. And then I will take that script, tweak it as I wish, and I will go into this app called Parrot, or you can just go into voice memos, but I like Parrot because you can like loop the audio. And so I will record that script in my own voice, and it is just a day in the life. So it's kind of like when I re-listen to it, one, it's in my own voice, so it's super powerful and I can loop it while I go to sleep. But when I listen to it, I can close my eyes, or it can just help me visualize what a day in her life looks and feels like. And I don't even think I need to mention how powerful visualization is, and just staying in touch with that higher version of you, and honestly just a reminder to have at any time throughout the day. You can also ask it, what habits do I need to build and break in order to align with this higher version of myself? And that brings me in to my next point, which is when it comes to creating the new version of yourself, obviously you have to build and break some habits in order to live in alignment with her. Because if your habits were completely aligned with that new version of yourself, you would already be her and you wouldn't be watching this video. Did you know that roughly like a minimum of 40% of your day, and that's like the lowest end, like statistics will say 40 to 95% of your day roughly is driven by your habits. A study from Duke University says that about 40% of the actions that people perform each day aren't actual decisions, but habits, which are these automatic routines that are triggered by context. But then Joe Dispenza, who I love, suggests that up to 95% of our thoughts, emotions, and actions are subconscious, which means that they're habitual or they're conditioned responses from your past experiences. So basically, in conclusion, confusion. We don't know what number is what, but we know that our life is made up by months, by weeks, by days, and a large majority of our day is made up by our habits. So if we want to change who we are, which is literally our lived experiences and what we're doing day to day, we need to really dive deep into our habits and whether or not they are living in alignment with us. I made an entire video on learning your own psychology of building habits. It's this video. I think it's like a couple or few videos or episodes back. Obviously, I won't go into complete depth of what I talked about in that video because there's a whole video on it. But your next action step is to understand your own science behind building and breaking habits so that you can do so, quite literally. Because now that you know who this new version of yourself is, you've gotten clear, you've gotten specific, you know what needs to change. Now we have to work day by day on actually changing the things, letting go of habits that no longer serve you, letting go of thoughts and decisions that no longer serve you, and instead implementing and adding in the things that will move the needle for you to peel back the layers and live in this new version of yourself, which isn't really new. She was always there, but we get the gist. And besides just living with your aligned habits and literally moving different in your day-to-day life, honestly, a tip is to do a lot of the things before you even feel ready, before you even feel aligned, or before you even feel like her, because you're not just going to magically wake up one day and be this new version of yourself. It's coming with the little actions that you do every day. But do things before you feel ready. Like dress like that woman who has that job before you even have the job. Give love before you even have that relationship. Love yourself and feel chosen before that person comes into your life. Go out and do activities and explore before you even have that friend group. Walk like the version of you who already is there. And in doing so, in this whole process, you need to anticipate the change. You need to anticipate that there will be hard days, that there will be days where you don't feel aligned, that there will be days where you want to go back into old habits, and there will be days where you do go back into old habits, but that is okay. And that's part of our psychology. That is part of the science. That is part of the human experience. That is part of changing. That is part of transforming and part of becoming. There's going to be the icky feelings. There's going to be those not wanting to change days. There's going to be the days where you just want to seek comfort. It's okay. Embrace those days and take them as cues to re-lock in, to reassess if what you're doing is really working, to reassess if you need a new strategy. And the more that you can know that you want to change, but know that along the way, there are really going to be some icky moments and that change comes with all these ups and downs. If you can accept that and expect that from the get-go, you will have a much better time and you will be way more effective because you already understand your own psychology. You already understand the science of it and you don't take it so personal when you slip up or when you take some steps back. And instead, you can use those icky feelings or those step backwards as fuel to move forward and kind of just see those icky moments from an outside perspective. And following along with that, when it comes to being this new version of you, the absolute best gift that you can give yourself is honesty. Getting honest with yourself, I'm not even kidding. I'm getting chills saying this. It is literally the best gift you can give yourself. I am huge on accountability, but I wasn't always like that. I used to be huge on planning, huge on habit trackers that I would check off when I didn't really do the habit, huge on dreaming, but not so much on honesty. I'll give you some examples. I mean, I have so many, but for example, when I was doing some coaching with like intuitive eating and stuff, I'm very open about like my past with eating EDs and all of that stuff. When I was relearning how to eat like a normal person, okay, and actually follow like my hunger cues and all that stuff, I was advised to have like a food journal and also like a satiety journal and all that stuff. And there were a lot of times throughout the day where I was grabbing like 3 nuts or like a little piece of chocolate here, a little something there, which is totally fine, right? But I was lying about it. I was like, well, it doesn't really count. Like, it was just a little something, like, I don't need to write it down. You cannot lie to your body. You cannot lie to your brain. You can lie to yourself. I cannot write down the little piece of chocolate that I randomly took, the little bite of someone's food that I randomly took, but I'm doing a disgrace to myself in doing that. And when I caught myself in those moments and I realized all the other times in life where I was just lying to myself, whether it was how I reacted to a situation, whether it was how I was being in certain relationships, how I was lying in my relationship with myself, my relationship with food, when I made the shift of really being so transparent and so honest with myself of everything, I started to see real changes in my life. Because you can't fake the results. Those little moments that you're lying to yourself about, that you're brushing over, those are the things that determine your results. So be real honest with yourself, and the best way to do that is to hold yourself accountable. A lot of change should not be dependent on willpower because that is a limited resource. Instead, you're going to find change in your systems. So tips in your journey of transformation is to pick one day a week to plan. I usually usually will do Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and I'll plan the whole week coming forward. So that way I can make sure that I'm going to have 3 priorities a day that are aligned with my goals, that are aligned with my higher self. I set up accountability systems. I have a habit tracker that I am very consistent with, and every day I will put like the archives, I call it, of that habit tracker into another document or note, so that if ever I am like, wow, I have not seen progress in this area of my life, I can go back to my habit tracker and see what I've actually done or didn't do. And don't forget to reward yourself. Congratulate yourself, even just verbally. Give yourself a high five in the mirror for the things that you did and the actions and habits you did do that were aligned with your higher self. And in leaving you, I just want you to know that you already have everything you need. Your desire to change means that you're worthy of her. Don't complicate the worthiness thing, because you were born worthy, you were born your authentic self, and you have the permission to peel back the layers and live in alignment with her again, because you were there at one point in time. Definitely use my BetterHelp link below if that's in alignment with your current journey. And if you're still here, either comment the name of your alter ego higher self or help other people out, give them inspiration, and comment what is one aligned action that you are going to do today that is in alignment with this new version of you with your higher self. Your desire to change is proof that you're meant for it, and I'm so excited for you to embark on this journey and really make changes in your life. If you like this video, obviously like it, share it with someone who you think might benefit from it, and if you're not already, definitely follow or subscribe so that you can hear from me every single week and clean your mental diet with the positive side of the internet. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye!